I leave it in gyro switch. Alright. Next we got throttle curves. Alright, to use this menu, for normal, which position, low is low, next is the next 25%, that's 50%, 75 and 100. Now if I grab my throttle stick here, see a line come up, that's going to tell you where your position of your stick is going to be. That's halfway, that's full, see? Alright. Now my controller's not all set up to the way I really run it, but I'm just going to go over you know, the basics for you guys. Alright, so it depends on which one you want to change. Normally, just go over this here. Throttle curve for normal, you know, you want something very linear. You want to go from 0 up to 100. Some people change these a little bit. It's really up to you guys. But you know, this is standard. This is basic. Okay. Now we go to stunt mode. What you want is stunt, since stunt, you know, has negative pitch and positive pitch, and its stunt mode is 100% running all the time. You want 100 on this end, you want 100 on that end, and whatever value you want in the middle, you set at. I have mine set at 90, and then the 25% and 75%, you just split the difference between the two and find it. That way it's a nice gradual, you know, change of rotor RPM. On throttle hold, you want it flat line. You don't want nothing. This is how you can use the switch back here to flip it, and it'll cut the motor off because it's all set to 0. Alright. Next is pitch curve. All this does is how much pitch do you want to come in at what stick position. As you can see, I can put my stick position up. What type of pitch do you want? Alright. Now anything below 50 is negative pitch. Anything above 50 is positive pitch. Alright. So in normal mode, you want a little bit of negative on the ground. That way it sits on the ground when you're running up. For me, I have mine at 40 because it's easy to do 40, 45, then 50. 40, that's about 2 degrees, maybe 1 degree negative pitch. It's fine. And then from here to here is very linear. 50, 75, 100. Okay, that's it's just standard stock. Okay. Now we go to stunt mode. On stunt mode pitch curve, you want exactly a straight line. You want to be able to do negative 10, and you want to be able to do positive 10. On hold, I changed my hold so that's linear. It looks just like stunt mode. That way I can do all my settings while I'm setting up the head. I can just use the switch to cut my throttle off versus unplugging the wires, which that is the most recommended way to do, is just unplug the wires. But here's another way to do it. That way you get your full range of motion in your heads. Alright. Swash mix. Now Swash mix. This right here, your aileron, your 65%. Now what that does is control how much your servo will rock back and forth. Okay. Now this number is really based off of your head. We'll get into that later. But pretty much that's all it does. If you notice that your swash plate is moving the opposite of your stick, there's two ways to do it. One is to put this number into negative or positive, whichever way it's not going. The other way is to switch the reversing of your servos. Usually these two numbers are the same because you want your swash plate to be able to tilt in you know, left and right and forward and back in the same amount. If you don't like that much of movement, you can limit it there. Your pitch here is used to fine-tune that 10%, that plus 10 and that minus 10. Okay, that's what you use right there. I usually start at 60 when I'm setting up, and then I fine-tune with this to get the degrees of pitch I want. Usually, you know, 6 degrees of deflection and plus 10, minus 10. Alright, mix 1, we don't really mess with these. These are for really high speed individuals that want to mix 2 servo inputs together. So we don't mess with those. Revo mixing, we don't mess with those. Alright, we can go to the setup list here. Alright, here's where you do model type. You can select which type you want. Alright, get back out. Alright, model name, here's where you can name your model whatever you want. Monitor, what this does is show you exact position of each servo. See, here my input. What type of input I'm doing. Like I was telling you before, this is 0. This is 100, and that weighs 100. Okay? Reversing, here's where you go into reversing. Now, normally you don't mess with your throttle reversing, just leave that normal. Gyro, leave that normal. Now, pitch means the pitch servo. Nothing to do with pitching of the rotor system. All like a collective pitch or anything. It's the actual pitch servo. The rudder servo, aileron servo, one side of your helicopter is aileron, the other side's pitch servo. That's what they call them. And then the elevated servo is the one that's up front. Alright? So if you're moving your swash plate and you hit left and it goes this way, just switch these. That way, as you can see, I have R and N. R is for reverse, N is for normal mode. Now say if it was going the wrong way, I just switch these servos. And then I'll go left is left and right is right. Alright? Now your rudder, if you're pushing your rudder input left and it's going the opposite direction, just switch it. Alright, and same with the elevator. If you're going forward and it's going back, just switch it. Alright, that's all this menu is for. Alright, swash type. We all are using the 120. We're not using the 90. Alright, throttle cut. All this is it just pushes it to this button right here. It's really not needed. Alright, dual rate combining. You could set this to combine one dual rate all to one switch. That's really all it does. Your timers, you can go ahead and you want to either count up or count down, and which switch, and the length of time. Alright, range check. You read the manual about range checking. You stand 90 feet away from your helicopter and do the range check. Alright, power settings here. As you can see, B, US, the other one, EU. We're not European, we're US. For me anyway. But if you're in Europe, switch to EU. Alright, contrast, all this does is make the display lighter or darker. And here's the copy reset. Some people suggest copying your functions to another one, that way you can play with that one and keep the stock. For me, I wrote down the stock. Either way, it's fine. But that's where you reset your model. Every time I redo my helicopter, I usually reset my model and start all over and find that adjustment. Usually it changes every time you redo your helicopter. Not by much, sometimes it does. Alright, and all this does is take you back to the adjust list. Here's a little tip and trick. If you want to jump back out from this menu to the main menu with the trims and such, just hold this button down in the list menu there for a little bit of time. Let it go, beep a couple times, and you're back to this menu. Alright, like I said, I'm Sokol, and hope this video helped you all figure out this window and the DX6i. Thank you.